Yeah, well, addressable has been more than a theory for quite a long time. We started in 2003, so 17 years later, I just wrote an article that given all of the scale that we've seen from the MVPDs, we actually only lit up 3% of the linear television inventory.
Right.
So that's a lot of work for not a lot of inventory. But what is super exciting by 2020 is that everybody is leaning in to light up national. So, maybe you call it the national network. So what's happening is that great technology, whether it be NVIDIA or Freewheel, that has existed for a while now, is going to start to light up national inventory. So not just the 2 minutes of local inventory. And that gives us an opportunity to increase scale from 3% to, let's say, 30%. And then, or maybe 25%. And we're also seeing a lot of work being done in the smart TV set. So whether it be Project or what Nielsen is doing, that's going to be able to light up national, really anything that hits the glass. So that's both broadcast and cable. So that could add another 21%. Let's assume there's some overlap between a set-top box deployed addressable solution and a smart TV solution. I think even with a conservative estimate, we could see 35% of television inventory, linear television inventory, being addressable. And I would argue all of OTT is or should be addressable.
Right.
It's addressable capable, and so if buyers are not demanding it and requiring it to be addressable, that's their fault.
Right.
So I think we're really at the tipping point. A lot of the hard work has been already done in terms of what data are we going to use and how are we going to be able to measure its success and getting a lot of advertisers like up and going. And I think one of the main things that they've asked for is scale. And so scale, I think, is going to start to come to the market. And now we're going to ask for the second thing, which is simplicity. Unification and simplicity. So we're hearing tons of people talk about that at this conference, on how are we going to make this easier to buy and unified, so I don't have to buy it in pockets, that I could actually transact on several technological solutions easily. So I think in the end, buyers don't really care how it happens. Right now we're having to learn how it happens. I think that layer will go away with some simplicity.
Great, great. Now, what do you see as some of the biggest challenges that we still need to get ahead, other than simplicity? Is there still a gap between linear and OTT in the way that brands are thinking about them as sort of keeping them in two buckets instead of, okay, this is all TV?
Well, a lot of that comes down to measurement.
Right.
So it's really hard to know what to buy when you don't know where all the viewing is happening.
Right.
So having unification of, a currency grade solution that tells you where is all the viewing even happening, right? It's not enough to say consumers have 4+ subscriptions to OTT, therefore I need to be there. I need to understand how much ad opportunity is there compared to linear. So I think we're starting to see a lot of competition in that space. A lot of people are saying that they provide a full look at video consumption from a consumer. You got to ask a lot of questions.
Right.
Like, how was it built? What's the validity of that data? Does it represent real people? Is it just household? Is it IP based? I mean, there's a lot of questions to ask. So we're definitely going to go through some growing pains, but I think that'll start to drive unification, is just a common measurement across all viewing.
Right, and what do you see that common measurement looking like? Is it going to be sort of a combination of panels and set-top box and ACR, or is it going to be something else?
Well, I think there is consensus that it needs to be a combination of things.
Right.
And I think there is a consensus that it needs to be a combination of at least set-top box and smart TV data. So those things give different signals, and both need to be corrected in some way.
Right.
And then there is some consistency on what is the value of a panel to make corrections to. And the more that I dig into what is the value of the panel, I think that it is a huge value, because you need to have a truth set to always go back to, like, who is in the house. We don't want to just know household viewing.
Right.
We need to get to people. And I think the only way you're going to really get to people is to have a truth set. And how do you really calibrate data without having something that, you know, is not big enough? A sample panel-based solution is not big enough. So we are going to have to use that panel to basically calibrate the larger data sets. So now there's enough data in the marketplace to go big. Now we've got to go back and kind of retool that big data so that it actually represents true person-level viewing.
Right, right. Now, do you see in the next year or two, as all of these Flixes launch and everything is up and running, do you think there's going to be some, you know, massive shift in the industry in the way people watch, or like everything in TV, it just happens super slowly?
Well, I mean, there has to have been a massive shift already. I mean, you don't get the level of subscriptions that you get to Disney Plus without a massive shift happening. I was disappointed to see Disney Plus launch with no advertising. I think that's concerning. I'm excited that Peacock won't go down that same route, and it's nice to see people like Hulu who give the consumer the choice. And it's nice to see that when given the choice, the consumers, 2/3 of them select with ads. Right? But I think we are moving to a world where you are not going to have 16 minutes of ads an hour. Right? I don't think that's good for the viewer. I don't think that's actually good for the advertiser. So now we have to move to a place where you can actually be willing to pay more for every ad that is seen by a viewer. And the only way you're going to do that is if it's targeted and measurable.